Welcome back to another multimeter review. Yes, it is cheapo multimeter review time. Oorah! Today in the spotlight we have something a little different. The VC92 multimeter. And its specialty? High voltage. Stay tuned. VC92 does not do amps. It only does milliamps. So take note of that. Now the saving grace for this meter, the pièce de résistance, that's something that makes it a little bit unique, is the fact that it does the high voltage. And we're going to take a look at that interesting 2 kV input when we are doing our tests. First of all, let's start with what you actually get. Well, as you can see, you do get a standard, albeit half decent box. At least it doesn't ship in a piece of plastic or a plastic bag like some multimeters. And if we take a look at the box and open it up, let's see what we have inside. Well, first of all, we have our operating manual, VC92. And it is all in Chinese. Next, we have a standard set of test leads or test probes. These are rated as Cat 3, 1000 volts, 20 amps. So right away it's a little interesting considering that this is a 2000 volt rated meter. They're shipping it with 1000 volt leads. Anyway, take a look at the shrouding. Not really that long considering the amount of voltage that they're expecting you to test with this meter. Not too sharp, not too pointy. We're going to use these for most of the tests. So while you get your, seems to be now de facto QC testing assurance card, looks like this was manufactured quite recently. It's got a 2019 stamp on it. So yeah, looks like a fairly new revision. Now let's take a look at the meter itself. So right when you look at this meter for the first time, you notice something a little strange. It says panel calibrate. What the heck does that mean? Well, apparently not too much. No, I think that's just a poor lost in translation misnomer. What they're actually trying to say, I would assume, is the fact that because this is a high voltage meter capable of doing 2000 volts, that you can use it on a mains panel. The 2 kV, milliamp, voltage and resistance, as well as your standard COM input. Not a whole lot of fancy schmancy with this multimeter. As you can tell, we have a power button and a hold. Now the hold also is a backlight enabling button. So you press down for about a second or two and the backlight will come on. Now the backlight does not stay on very long, as you will soon find out. We have that interesting tilt design. Rather a good idea. It has got a beveled tilt, which probably will help you in terms of actually positioning this meter and utilizing it on the tilt stand. So I kind of like that curved tilt stand idea, and it's nice and wide, it doesn't flop around. Definitely a decent tilt stand. The boot as well, it's a kind of a cheap rubbery feeling. It's not really that Unity red, it's more of a I don't know what you would call like an industrial red. Definitely I think they could have done better. It looks rather on the cheap side. Meter itself is quite heavy. Definitely weighs a little more than your standard multimeter, and overall, in terms of the feeling, I can't say it's really that bad. The selector switch has that nice clackety-clack sound. It does hit those ranges with authority. No worry about getting lost mid-range, so that's a good thing. Okay, let's power it up. Press the button, as you can tell, and a bada boom, bada bing, bada bang. Actually, let's lose the plastic protector. So sorry. Now the display is fairly large, and let's just try out that backlight right now so you see what I'm talking about. So it is that blue hue, and with the backlight enabled, it's actually quite decent, but look at how short that backlight is. Mere seconds. So really not a lot of use. Now, if you were to hold down on this backlight and utilize the meter this way, it will stay on indefinitely, but you do have to keep your fingers pressed on that hold button. So a little awkward and not the best way to work in the dark. But as soon as you let that button go, yeah, that light is going to turn off in a few seconds. Thank you. As well, you can tell it has the graphical display, so they're basically telling you where to put those test leads. Now, speaking of test leads, let's insert them. Now, if you insert the test leads in the wrong jacks, you do not get any sort of an audio indicator. For instance, if I take this lead and I put it into the 2000 volt input, and even though I'm on continuity and diode at this moment, there's nothing verbose. It's basically just staying on the volts and comms saying, put it back. Take note, this is not a true RMS multimeter, and it is also a non-auto ranging multimeter, so you will have to move that selector switch to attain the proper settings. Okay, let's get this potty started. We are in DC accuracy mode right now. We are going to check the low voltage side of things. We should be looking at 250 millivolts. And as you can see, spot on 250 millivolts. And we are OL because it is a non-auto ranging, so we have to take it up a notch. And are we going to see that 2.5? And look at that, spot on. So in terms of that low voltage accuracy, it is a win-win. First up is resistance. For the testing, let's check out a 100 mega ohm Vichy resistor. Remember, this is capable of going up to 200 mega ohm. Here we go. Looks good to me. All right, here we have a 22 mega ohm. Okay, fine. Let's just try railing up the leads. All the leads look fine. Try that again. 0.5. No, just too small for that meter. Capacitance mode is next. Now this does have a paltry, sad 200 microfarad maximum. Really peanuts in this day and age. So we will try a 100 microfarad capacitor. And all right, so first of all here, if we take a look at the display, it is telling me now I have to move that from the comm to the milliamp. So let's just do that. And now we should be in capacitance mode. Definitely a pain in the butt when you have to start taking out your leads to do that kind of thing. This is a 3.3 microfarad capacitor, 2.9, and let's check that 100 microfarad and 93.3. Close enough. But you're really not going to be using this meter to check capacitors a whole heck of a lot. At least I hope not. Next up, it's diode time. Yes, time to light up these cute little diodes. All right, starting off with the green LED. And nothing. Let's try the yellow. Well, it is lit up, but we're not getting anything in terms of a forward voltage drop. Let's try the red. The red is lit, but once again, no display. Let's try the white. The white is lighting up, but nothing on the screen. Finally, the blue. It is very, very dimly lit, but once again, no forward voltage drop. So, I think if you're going to be testing LEDs, you're definitely not going to be using this multimeter. In diode mode, we see the output voltage is 2.7 volts. Chances are you probably won't want to use this meter for diode testing. Yeah, of talking to you. Alrighty, continuity time. We're going to start off with the default probes. Here we go. Wow, it's weird. Kind of scratchy and then it's latched. Yeah, I think that's a rather weird fail. Probe Masters, here we go. Fail. Decibel sound rating in continuity mode for the VC92 is 67.1 decibels. Next up is milliamp mode. Now this does have a rather paltry 200 milliamps. Definitely nothing to write home about. Okay, let's take it up a little bit. At least let's take it to a whopping 180 volts. I'm sorry, 180 milliamps. 180 milliamps and no problems there. It is only fused to 200, so let's max it out at 200 and we are OL. We are out of range, and bring it back down, and yeah, there we are back in business. So rather paltry 200 milliamp, not a heck of a lot. This meter also ships with a small HFE or capacitor add-on module here at the bottom, and currently have a transistor plugged into it, an NPN transistor, and you can see the HFE is 196. Alrighty, the moment we've all been waiting for, I'm sure, is the high voltage mode. I have it currently set to the 2000, and I will move the jack to the high voltage 2 kV input. So something a little different, something I don't see on your typical multimeter. Definitely 2000 volts is definitely on the high side, and definitely, I say definitely a lot. So with the 2000 volt setting, let us see how good it is. Here we go. So we're on 1100 volts. No worries there. Bring it up again. 1100. So I'm pretty well maxed out around 1100 volts. But it is certainly capable of getting that far. Now if I bring it down to 1000 volts, let's see if we have an audible warning of any sort. And it just goes OL. So no audible alarm in the high voltage mode if we go over. So we bring it back to 2000 volts. And there we are, 2000 volts DC. And it looks like it's doing okay. Okay, let's take this puppy apart. Starting off with the battery housing, we have one Phillips. And that's actually going into a fairly decent brass insert, and as you can see we have one 9-volt battery. Let's just lose that, and it has your typical 9-volt battery connector. 1, 2, 3 more Phillips to open up the back, and let's see. Ugh. Wow, that's in there pretty tight. Okay, here we go, and let's just move this out of the way. Okay, so starting off with the back of the meter, look at that, we actually have some shielding! Awesome! You just don't see this very often these days. Now remember, this is a $25 multimeter, 25 Canadian, so about 20 bucks US. It's not a whole lot of dinero. Okay, let's take a closer look at the inside. Starting off with the input jacks at the bottom. They're a little on the meek side. Now I have no problems with split jacks. I think they are as good as any other input jack. It just in this case, really the metal filament that they're utilizing seems to be very, very thin, and the soldering wise, it's kind of so-so. So for a high voltage device, I would have expected to see a little bit better quality with the input jack. We have a lot of rectifier diodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I can count here. That's our 200 milliamp fuse. Now I thought maybe it'd be a slightly higher rated, but it's not. It is a 200 milliamp fuse. So go much over that 200 milliamp range and you'll definitely blow the fuse. If we take a look upstream here, let's look at the top over on the top left. This is a Logic IC, the ATML H010, I believe that is. Over here we got a quad op amp, the 064C, and over here is their venerable LM324 dual op amp, and below it down here is the looks like it's a 14060BG. That's a 14-bit oscillator. So interesting package. We also have a lot of these 63 volt tantalum style capacitors, 5 that I can count here as well. I see 2 PTCs, very small. I don't see any MOVs, metal oxide varistors, at all. Interesting enough, on the high voltage side over here at the bottom, we've got these are all 1 meg resistors. We have a total of 10 of them. So they are providing a resistor clamp on that high voltage mode. Not much else that I can see on this side whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and take this off and we'll take a look on the other side to see if there's anything else going on. Now remember, this does not do current. So let's take a look at the other side. Really subpar soldering job here. Lots and lots of crap, flux residue, what have you. So yeah, pretty poor in the overall Q&A department. The screen is nice and big, I'll say that much, but generally speaking, not that impressed. And we can see that one wire here is going from the that resistor array down to that resistor clamp over here. And it's, once again, it's a really thin gauge, kind of a really cheap schmeat kind of a wire going on here. So once again, you know, just not getting that warm, fuzzy feeling, not when you're dealing with the high voltages. And for the positive as well, on that terminal, you can see it's also soldered to that 2 kV terminal here, directly into the clamp. So you know, generally speaking, I was expecting a little bit more in the quality department. Definitely, you know, considering you are supposed to be able to test 2000 plus volts with this, I'm not really that warm, fuzzy feeling. Okay, I will wrap it all up, put this back together, and come back with my closing thoughts. Final thoughts on the SZBJ VC92. Wow, you know, it's a mixed bag. Now, this is a cheap home multimeter. This is like a $25 Canadian meter, 20 bucks US. Once again, it's cheap. I have seen this higher. I've seen it as high as 80 bucks, but it has definitely come down in price. Now, is it worth that 25 bucks? I'll let you be the judge. Personally, I think it is, just because it is a niche product and there is no meter that has this sort of 2 kV separate input at that price, period. Now, how do I have that warm, fuzzy feeling if I'm going to hook this up to 2000 volts after taking a look at the insides? Probably not. So if you do purchase it, buyer beware. It is not the best made meter out there, that's for darn sure. That being said, in terms of accuracy, it seemed to be quite good. Overall fit and finish on the outside were okay, but the display is nice and large, and it's too bad that backlight didn't stay on longer than a few seconds. Overall, I'm going to give the VC92 2.5 out of 5 stars. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I know you've all been asking, and I have been delayed. I am so sorry, but I'm going to do the draw now for that amazing... Hey guys, I do apologize once again. It is time now. Drum roll, please. That's not a drum roll. That's still not a drum roll. That's more like it. Okay, here we go. without further ado, the winner of the Blue Driver Automotive Meter. This is coming to you live. Well, it's live right now. Mixing. Here we go. And my head is turned, and I am pulling out one lucky winner. And that person is Man P. Congratulations. So please email me, and I really need to hear from you within the next, well, hopefully 3 to 5 days. If I do not hear anything, I will have a second winner. So if I don't hear from Man P, the second winner will be Pete Jalala. So Man P, you are the official winner of the automotive multimeter from Blue Driver. So please do give me a buzz, because otherwise it's going to go to Pete Jalala. Alrighty. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all your support. And you know what I'm going to say, right? Yeah. Keep on testing.